All right then, good afternoon, everyone. Today is October 7th, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority. Present today in Albany is Chairman Bradley and myself, Secretary Donahue. Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts is down the hall and he's joining us by phone.
Present.
Yes, we have by video Commissioner Fan. We have also by phone Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Ford, can you let us know you're there?
Present and accounted for.
And Council Meyerhoff is also joining us by phone.
I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. We have one item on today's calendar. It's agenda number 1334UU. It's Jefferson OP 2502634. The licensee is Hitchin Post Tavern, Inc.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. William Brennan for Council's Office. I'm here today to request that the board summarily suspend this licensee for blatantly violating Executive Orders 202.38, 202.41, 202.43, 202.45, 202.52, and failing to adequately supervise the licensed premises. The Hitchin Post Tavern, Inc. is located at 404 Court Street, Watertown, New York. The premises has been licensed since April of 1970. On September 27, 2020, members of the City of Watertown Police Department responded to the Hitchin Post Tavern for a report of vehicles blocking the roadway, as well as reports of a large gathering of people inside the licensed premises. When the officers arrived at the scene, they observed a large crowd inside the bar, as well as outside the bar in a back outdoor area. The officers approached the licensed premises and were able to make observations of the interior of the premises through the large glass windows on the front of the premises. They were also able to observe the outdoor area in the rear of the premises. The officers did not enter the premises. I provided you with the most recent diagram I found in workflow depicting the front of the premises. This diagram depicts windows of 45 inches wide, 70 inches wide, and 76 inches wide, allowing a clear view of the inside of the premises from the sidewalk. Officer O'Hearn, one of the first officers to respond, spoke with the bouncer at the door, who stated the establishment was permitted to have 72 patrons inside, but that he did not believe they were limited to 72 patrons because they were also utilizing the outdoor area. O'Hearn estimated that there were at least 70 to 80 patrons inside the bar when he arrived at the premises. Additionally, O'Hearn observed a large crowd of patrons outside at the rear of the building who were coming in and out of the bar through the back door. O'Hearn reported that the vast majority of patrons inside the bar were standing, with a large number of the standing patrons not wearing face coverings. Also, O'Hearn reported that the individuals outside were huddled in small clusters, not participating in social distancing. Officer Duvall also responded to the licensed premises on September 27, 2020. As Duvall and other officers approached the premises, they observed approximately 10 people standing, smoking, and talking just outside the bar's doors. Duvall reported that those patrons were not practicing social distancing. Duvall reported that he estimated there were 70 to 80 people inside of the bar itself, and that it appeared almost none of the patrons were seated at the bar or at tables. Duvall reported that almost all the patrons in the bar appeared to be standing, walking around, or dancing. Duvall indicated that almost none of the patrons that were standing and walking about were wearing face coverings. As Duvall and other officers were speaking with staff of the licensed premises, patrons started leaving. Duvall indicated that almost all the patrons exiting the bar while he was present were not wearing face coverings. He also indicated that as the patrons exited, they were congregating in small groups, not social distancing. Lieutenant Lamika arrived at the scene after the patrol officers were initially deployed. When Lamika arrived, he estimated there was a crowd of approximately 100 people inside the bar and outside on the front sidewalk. Lieutenant Lamika was advised by patrol officers that the bartender had announced that the bar was closing when the patrol officers initially arrived, and patrons had been exiting the building. Even so, Lieutenant Lamika estimated that there were still 50 to 60 patrons inside the premises when he arrived at the bar. Lamika described the patrons as standing elbow to elbow inside the licensed premises, and despite the police presence and officers observing through the windows, The licensee did not ensure that the patrons standing inside were wearing face masks or coverings or socially distancing. Lamika reported that he observed that approximately half the people standing were not wearing face coverings. Lamika spoke with one of the bouncers and requested to speak with the principal, Cliff Pickett. The bouncer indicated that Mr. Pickett was not present as he was in Syracuse at the hospital. Lamika asked to speak to whoever was the manager and was advised it was a gentleman named Dylan Wood. Lieutenant Lamika asked that someone go inside and get Mr. Wood. Wood came outside to speak with Lieutenant Lamika. Mr. Wood stated that the establishment was enforcing social distancing, enforcing the usage of masks, and was providing outside seating. Lieutenant Lamika advised Wood that based on his observations and the observations of other officers, that the number of people who were inside made socially distancing impossible, and half the patrons inside didn't even have masks. Officer Duvall, who was with Lieutenant Lamika at the time of this conversation, reported that Wood was identified as the head bartender by the bouncers and that he was in charge of the premises in the absence of the owner and manager. Duvall reported that Wood, quote, exclaimed that he was not taking responsibility for this and that they were within guidelines. Duvall reported that Wood then stated he didn't have time for this expletive and stormed back into the bar. Eventually the bar was cleared out and closed. When counsel's office reviewed the initial report, we didn't believe we had enough detail on what the officers actually observed. When I was assigned the case, I reached out to Lieutenant Lamika of the City of Watertown Police Department in an effort to get a better understanding of the events that occurred in this case. I spoke with Lieutenant Lamika, who then provided additional information and documents. After reviewing the additional information, it became absolutely clear that the manner in which this licensee is conducting business during this terrible pandemic poses an immediate threat to its patrons, employees, and the residents of the City of Watertown, as well as the general public in our state. Based on the information contained in the police report dated September 27, 2020, as well as the written statements of Lieutenant Lamika, Police Officer Duvall, Police Officer O'Hearn, all of which were made under penalty of perjury, I respectfully request that the board suspend this licensee. I'd also like to point out that Lieutenant Lamika has indicated 3 more officers who responded to the premises will be providing similar statements to counsel's office.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Yes. Over the course of their 50-year history, is there any adverse history in their past?
Yes, there is, Commissioner. There was one adverse disciplinary action that occurred in June. The incident was in June of 2018. There were some other incidents, but they were all well beyond the 5-year window which we're looking at.
All right. Thank you very much. No more questions.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
Yeah, Bill, it indicates in the paperwork that there was a $20 cover charge. Do we have any idea what that was for? That the customers were paying $20 to the bouncers to get in?
That's what the officers had said. I haven't been able to discern what it was for. Lamika, when I spoke to him, indicated that perhaps they were trying to slow down the ingress of customers because they had, they didn't have much control and the place was packed. But he wasn't sure of that, so I didn't want to put that before the board as something that they were doing wrong at this point. But we'll further investigate that.
Okay, and then I see the diagram you found. Do they have any licensed area outside at all?
They did. The backyard was licensed in 2009, and there's been some amendments to that initial licensing of the backyard, but there is an outside area there. It's bounded by a solid fence on one side. There's like a chain link gate the size of like a car could ingress in and out of, which is where the officers could observe what was going on back there.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
All right, then. With that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on the evidence presented by Council Brennan, it's clear that this licensee is blatantly ignoring the governor's executive orders surrounding COVID-19 and have created an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare at his licensed premise, and I therefore vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
Based on evidence presented by counsel and other written materials that I've read in preparation for this particular case, I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Chairman Bradley.
I also vote to summarily suspend. The licensee is clearly not following the executive orders that have been put in place to protect from COVID-19, and therefore the licensed establishment has become a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, with that, Chairman, I have no other items on the calendar. Do you have anything else you want to address?
No, thank you all.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.